Gaming's 7th generation brought forth the ability to truly game around the world, on consoles with friends and strangers alike. While systems like Sony's PlayStation 2 and Microsoft's original Xbox had online multiplayer options, it wasn't until Microsoft released the Xbox 360 with an updated version of its online multiplayer model, Xbox Live, that gamers really got the chance to experience dedicated multiplayer online gaming without owning a computer. Under the Valve Studios umbrella, the future Turtle Rock Studios, then Valve South, crafted a perfect masterpiece for the perfect time, featuring zombies during the monstrous creature's then recent height of popularity. Following an even more enjoyable sequel, Turtle Rock reformed away from Valve, eventually releasing the critically mixed Evolve, that focused on PvP 4 against 1 action instead of what its predecessor had to offer. Going back to the drawing board and looking to recreate the magic that they did in 2008, Turtle Rock embraced what made the Left 4 Dead game so famous and started working on the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead 2. In August, gamers were given the chance to test out what was to come with a beta that left mixed feelings not only among the player base, but also with yours truly, a person who spent triple-digit numbers in terms of hours playing the Left 4 Dead games on the Xbox 360. With that being stated, I was excited to see what the full game had to offer and what improvements the developers made between the game's beta and its full release. Very similar to its unofficial predecessors and similar games in the genre, Back 4 Blood is about the grind in terms of completion. Back 4 Blood features a quartet of acts broken up in various numbers, such as Act 4 only containing 1 mission, even though the act before it reaches the double digits in terms of subsections. In all, completing the game's campaign can take roughly 8 to 10 hours on the Recruit difficulty level. Beyond finishing the campaign on all 3 of the difficulties is the addition of a PvP mode known as Swarm. In Swarm, teams of up to 4 players take on another quartet, with one team playing as the special zombies known as the Ridden, in a best-of-3 series, where the environment gets more enclosed due to the deadly bugs creating a dome effect. These specialized Ridden sport abilities and designs unique to their subcategories, including an acid-vomiting wretch or the massively large, sledgehammer-like tall boy. The most necessary aspect to both learn and advance in the game is the game's card system. With cards earned through gameplay or purchased via in-game currency known as supply points, players will have to build card decks in an effort to strengthen the player's team so they can make it further in the story or do well lasting in Swarm. There are some odd developer decisions, like only the host of a campaign game online can benefit from moving through the campaign instead of every act being available to play initially like it was in Left 4 Dead. As of this time, solo campaign play doesn't allow for gaining achievements or trophies or supply points. Having to go back and replay Act 1 several times to discover this limitation added unnecessary hours of play, with yours truly just being happy making it through the campaign on Recruit difficulty level. Taking some time in Swarm mode reinforced the decision to have a Horde mode style PvP experience instead of a campaign versus offering similar to the Left 4 Dead games wasn't a good idea. Considering the developer behind this game, it's not surprising that jumping into this from a gameplay perspective would feel like familiar territory for experienced first-person shooter players. The player chooses one of 8 characters who all sport different starting loadouts and specific abilities, like Mom having an extra life, so she'll have to be downed 3 times to die instead of 2 like everyone else, or Walker boosting the team's overall health. These special character traits tie into the aforementioned card system fairly well, with gamers having the ability to build their card decks around their favorite character, like focusing on cards that buff melee damage or even potentially healing with melee kills when playing as a little bruiser known as Holly. The card system is rather addictive and encourages further grinding in hopes of attaining better cards, because the better the cards, the better chances of surviving those latter acts and higher difficulties. During the campaign, players will be presented with corruption cards that must be chosen before a mission starts. These corruption cards vary from debilitating players by darkening the entire area to the point of near blindness until an enemy is right on a character, to rewarding a team with more in-game money for all characters making it to the safe room. Beyond the typical weapons like guns and nail-covered baseball bats are defensive measures such as grenades, barbed wire fences, and defibrillators to revive that fallen ally. An interesting addition to the gunplay compared to its predecessors is attachments. At the start of each level, players can spend the other in-game currency known as copper that is found throughout every stage to purchase things like health kits and those Molotov cocktails. Copper can also be spent to purchase attachments for the guns currently possessed by the player, or even buy new weapons. But spending copper comes at a big cost, as the currency is spread across the entire team. So if a player is selfish and spends copper solely on themselves and their inventory, it will definitely hinder another player. This choice emphasizes the team aspect in the game's campaign and can definitely help unite players. Unfortunately, weapon attachments aren't stored in the character's inventory and is stuck on whatever weapon it's attached to, with the player only being able to switch a current attachment for another one. And the player can't use a liked attachment on a newly found, more impressive gun that is in the same category as the currently held firearm. There are some big gameplay issues, specifically in regards to the campaign. Unlike Left 4 Dead, there are no real musical cues to alert players a special ridden is arriving, especially the gigantic ogre. But considering how many special ridden are constantly thrown at a team, maybe having musical cues would have been annoying, because instead of spawning one special ridden at players at a time, the game will send a tall boy in, immediately followed by a time bomb style wretch that, when it explodes, sends the nearby protagonists known as cleaners flying backward and maybe even off the map. These special ridden spawns are complemented by the massive numbers of regular ridden that show up en masse at any given moment. Luck is really necessary to be successful even if the team is cohesive. Another issue in terms of gameplay design are the map's openness, full of options for exploration. If teammates don't stick together, they're open for a stinger's web that will pin down an ally who can only be freed by a friendly melee attack. But exploration can provide great benefits, such as discovering a room that needs a toolkit to unlock the door where fantastic supplies are housed. If players can take their time and explore, the game will start sending ridden both regular and special to force the players to move, a problem that becomes more profound during higher difficulties. AI allies are both improved from their mostly useless counterparts when playing the beta, and disappointing when compared to those friendly bots in Left 4 Dead. While the AI teammates will heal the player and pick off incoming ridden, they don't have the good sense to heal themselves with found medical cabinets or promptly reviving teammates, not to mention simply getting caught in a loop or a graphical glitch. Another odd decision is limiting continuation options for players. Not only does Back 4 Blood lack mission checkpoints, similar to its predecessors, meaning a failed run will see the players go back to the start of a level, there are also a limited number of continues after succumbing to the ridden. While having limited continues does heighten the tension, an unexpected moment out of the player's control can mean the difference between making it through a level without the surety that it will work out the next time. Similar to the campaign's presentation and gameplay decisions being a mixed bag is Swarm mode, adopting a more horde aesthetic where players use the cleaners to take out both AI ridden and player controlled special ridden. Swarm presents an on-screen clock to correlate with the growing waves and a shrinking area cut off by the dome of vicious insects constantly buzzing around. Swarm is best of 3 rounds, with the team switching between cleaners and ridden, with the squad that holds on the longest as the cleaners winning the round. Ridden players can also use copper earned by landing attacks or simply dished out randomly to upgrade the offensive and defensive measures of both types of ridden. Swarm's biggest issue has to be team number distribution. While the hope is always having a full team, there's a good chance that won't happen, or players will drop out after losing the first round. Instead of replacing the missing player with an AI bot, the mode continues on no matter if the team is now at a disadvantage or not, completely opposite of both Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood's own campaign. With small maps, easy exploits as cleaners, including one-hit kills on character-handled ridden due to the glowing red weak spots, and disadvantageous moments beyond a player's control, really hinders what could have been a very fun PvP mode. Technically, Back 4 Blood is admirable in terms of frame rates not dropping or causing the game to chug. hit detection mostly being reasonable, and hard crashes are pretty much non-existent on the Xbox versions. One of the most impressive features is protecting the player's spot if said gamer gets disconnected from a session. Players will be able to quickly rejoin the game's server and, most of the time, even get back into the same game they were playing even if it was with randoms. The only issue with rejoining a game may put the player in control of another character if a new player joined during the reconnection period and picked the original player's character. Like so many games in the genre, the story is pretty forgettable, with cutscenes usually focusing on moving from one point to another while shooting down mounting zombie forces until the cleaners win. Back 4 Blood has a great gameplay foundation, with some detrimental developer decisions in regards to special written, gratuitously spawning, drastic difficulty spikes, constricting solo play options, and a disappointing PvP mode. What could have been the perfect counterpart to a historic game is instead something that is hindered by both innovation and odd decisions. One of the biggest positive aspects of Left 4 Dead's co-op gameplay allowed for players both new and old to work together and usually do well, especially on the easier difficulties. Back 4 Blood demands casuals to become experienced players or die constantly at the team's expense. The card system works well in assisting players, but isn't as critical to the core gameplay as the developers wanted it, without crushing difficulty spikes that once again will force players to re-strategize if they can, or punish the entire team if their card deck is elementary and or they just started playing the game in general. Swarm pales in comparison to what came before it from Left 4 Dead, and definitely won't bring long-lasting players or memories. The best option in playing Back 4 Blood is through Game Pass, but only if you have enough friends or dedicated randoms to join various sessions of Blood and Guts. But for those looking for a one-to-one experience similar to Left 4 Dead 2, will be sorely disappointed. Like that moment when a bunch of Ridden prevent you from making it off a ship set to explode in 10 seconds, or the servers crash and everyone but your character is stuck in a painful loop of screams and running animations.
You'll be fine. We need you upright.
I owe you one. Thanks, Carly.
Right here.
Reloading. Shoot the head. Get back. Crusher.